Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I'm just doing homework on basketball players right now. And just did some homework on Grady Dick. And I was looking at how he's able to draw so much attention. The idea that I'm looking at in regards to my Lakers is how effective Malik Beasley was when he first got to the team. Was hot, hitting like 5 and 6 threes, and the dynamic that provided our team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Now, the Lakers have some needs, but I don't believe in filling a need in the draft necessarily. You take the best players most of the time. But in the unique circumstances that the Lakers are in, their timeline makes it so they have to expedite the process of waiting on pretty much anybody. As long as they're holding on to Anthony Davis and LeBron James, you kind of want all hands on deck, more or less. But there's a sweet spot to consider because you still have a timeline with a guy like Austin Reeves, maybe Rui Hachimura, Max Christie. That's a younger timeline. And it may be wise to try to make as much of your team as full as possible so that when LeBron does leave, you still have a team that can compete. Having good role players, designated shooters, 50-50 ball guys, offensive rebounders, everything that you would otherwise need to be able to function as a team without LeBron James. I think that is probably the way to go, rather than to try to bring him a bunch of guys that are to meet his timeline, win now guys, who ultimately at the end of the day, what I'm finding is, are probably going to have to be beating young teams anyway. And that's ultimately what I'm finding is a lot of these teams, even the older teams that have older players, I think the idea is for them to try to get older but still keep some of those youngsters. Like, for example, the Houston Rockets, they're trying to bring themselves James Harden, but unless they're planning on revamping their entire roster, which is possible, James Harden is coming to a situation where he's going to be playing with a bunch of youngsters. I saw a picture of Dame Lillard paying attention to the combine workout of Amen Thompson and Ahmed Thompson. The idea is to try to trade those picks to bring him some talent to try to win a championship with. But again, they're going to take that team and likely be facing a field full of young teams. So it's like, should it not make more sense for LeBron James, Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, Dame Lillard, and all them type of dudes to just bring themselves a bunch of young teams to try to win with youngsters? Because that's what the field is going to be. If you're going to send a bunch of old men into that field, they're going to be running to Orlando one night, Detroit the next night, San Antonio the next night, Indy the next night, Charlotte the next night. Do you see how many of these young teams they're going to actually run into? Sacramento got a young team. It's like, you would be best to identify the best way to compete with the field is by surrounding yourself with a complete team full of players under the age of 28. Rather than bring yourself a bunch of guys who are your age to try to trot out there as old men against young guys. So for me, it's like, the idea is to try to bring a guy like Dame and LeBron something that they can win with. The best thing they could possibly win with is the future, in my humble opinion. The best thing they could possibly win with is a bunch of dudes 10 years younger than them who know what they're doing at a high level. And I think that gives them the best opportunity to compete, rather than what it is that seems like they're trying to do, which is try to slap 2 or 3 of these contracts together with these guys, have them play with each other, and hope for the best against young teams. It looks like they're aiming for one thing and going to end up landing on something else. And so for me, that's what I see there. There's too much quality talent in terms of pieces that you're going to need to build your team in this draft for teams who are going to be facing a rebuild to pass up on. You can look at it as a bunch of players that you need to wait on, but I think it's wiser to look at it as a bunch of players who can legitimately help you based on what it is they're bringing to the table and overall what they're going to mean to the field itself if they don't come to your team. You're going to be facing these dudes. So it's like, this is why going backwards in your timeline and trying to get older doesn't make as much sense to me. It does not help when you start listening to people talk about players like CJ McCollum. There's a few other guys that are just starting to round into a form where yesterday they were in their prime. Tomorrow they're going to be a bit old, and we need to be able to identify when that happens immediately and adjust what we expect for them to do for us accordingly based on the past injury history, the inflated price of their contracts, and ultimately all the other things that come with bringing in a star player, asking him to lead you to the promised land in this era. So it's like, you can overpay for a guy like that and try to get him to your team and ask him to take 25 shots. Or you can draft Grady Dick, let him develop into what it is that you expect him for him to turn into, let him take a bunch of shots at a much lesser price. Probably still have the same dynamic. Maybe he makes a couple extra mistakes because he's a rookie. Maybe he doesn't pan out because he's a rookie. But on the flip side, maybe you bring in a CJ and he has an ankle injury. Or a worse injury, obviously, something that'll keep him out for months. And then you got a bad contract for several years. No path to new talent. Can't retrade him for the type of talent you need. It just turns into a situation where you're pretty much facing the same risk, only much more expensive. So for me, it's like, look, I'm going to take the young route most of the time. It's not always the best way to go when you're trying to win a championship. But it looks like the way that some of these teams are going, they're about to bring themselves a bunch of lemons. Players that they think are going to help them based on their name. When in reality, some of these guys that are being drafted are just overall going to be the guys that they want these guys to be. Pretty much. That's what it's going to be. You got more of these guys coming out of these drafts that are ready-made talent 1 year away from being ready-made talent. It's like you don't want to think that it's going to take 7 and 8 years to develop a Jarris Walker. It probably will not take long at all for him to get in here and start doing what it is he needs to do to help his team. So it's like, are you sure you want to pass on some of these dudes if you're Portland? Are you sure you want to trade your pick if you're Dallas? You know what I mean? These are the type of things I'm like, in yesterday's league, it made sense to trade away picks to try to win now. I think in today's league, I think that's a misguided thing, depending on your situation. And look, I'm going to tell you like this. If I'm any of those teams, the way I'm thinking is those stars are the guys that are leaving. That's what's happening there. I've already told y'all what my plan for the Clippers is. They're going to look like a whole G League team next year with a bunch of rookies. They're going to look like the Spurs next year if I'm running things. Because we definitely putting ourselves in a position to get the next Wembanyama. Ain't going to be no more of that. Old man, that's over. And so a team like that should be the plan. Undo that. Portland, Dame to the Celtics or to the Warriors or something like that. He out. Go save that money. Bradley Beal, out. With a new president in place, I'm getting that contract the hell out of here. I'm telling y'all, Jaylen Brown, after what I saw in the playoffs, yeah, they're a good enough team to get to the finals. Are they a good enough team to get over the top? Doesn't make as much sense to pay the new CBA deal tax to keep that Celtics team together again as they get a little older. I don't know, maybe 2 more years, I guess. But for me, it's like if they can't get over the hump after all this time, they losing to teams like Miami that's been in place. It's like, nah, let's try to see if we can usher ourselves into the future. We do have a young timeline, but these guys are expensive now. Marcus Smart's getting in that CJ McCollum range where yesterday he was fine, today he's old. He's there now. Al Horford's old. The back of that bench is old. Blake Griffin. You got stuff going on in that Celtics team. It's just like, all right. Half of the team that you got you don't want to use. It's time to move on from expensive pieces and bring yourself 2-for-1 situations. It's just time. The coach situation went left, but you do got another exciting young coach. He needs 3-point shooting. You guys should be trading for somebody like Grady Dick yourself so you can get the type of piece in place that can allow you to play Missoula ball properly. He needs Grady Dick. He needs Hawkins. He needs CJ. He needs all them 3-point shooters so he can just shoot all day long, and it makes sense for him to do so. So these are the type of things I'm thinking if I'm the Celtics. I don't need Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown don't shoot 3-point shots well enough for what it is that we're going to be trying to do going forward. Tatum does, but nah, you need more elite shooting so you can run your system. So like these are the type of things I'm thinking about if I'm of some of these teams, you know, with the CBA being as it is, essentially the understanding is you can't build a super team, and once you start signing contracts, it's less likely you're going to want to trade those contracts because it's going to be more expensive to do so. You're going to be triggering, you know, different types of things that you don't want in regards to your cap. If you start doing signing trades with guys you just signed, it's not as simple as moving stuff around. You better get some stuff you're excited about, and you better be looking for 2-for-1s all over the place with young talent, developing your G League squad at all times. It's the only way you're going to make it in this league. That's the only way you're going to make it. They are encouraging player development, and you cannot do that if you keep mortgaging your future for these old guys from yesteryear who were trying to get you to build them a super team that they're probably not going to lead to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? Because they're eating up all of the cap, and the NBA is now shunning super teams for them for that reason alone. So it's like, this is what it really comes down to. In a perfect world, you can put a bunch of superstars together and run the league. You put KD, Kyrie, and Steph Curry and all these guys together, and they'll have the best chance to win. But the reality is the NBA does not want that for whatever reason. They don't want that. So what they've done is they made it difficult for you to do that. And that's why I look at a team like Dallas, I'm like, y'all really serious about signing Kyrie and putting him next to Luka Doncic? I'm telling y'all, with the way things are built, that doesn't work at all. It doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? And I know that sucks because this is one of the few teams that I think will pay Kyrie that money. But once you get locked into what you locked into, you're not getting out of that. You're not getting out of that. And that's just what it is. So if you're gonna bring Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, you better be damn sure he's happy with that. And you better be damn sure you can bring them all the other pieces that you need. I'm hearing that they may want to take Lively at 10. I guess his stock is rising to that degree, but it seems to me that people are inflating Lively because he hit a bunch of threes in Combine, which is something I don't know if he's going to do in real life. And, you know, when the game really matters, this is Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Are you counting on his three-point shot to fall like that? All I'm saying is this. When you build the way that Dallas is trying to build, it forces you into situations like that where you need to try to use a draft pick to fill a need because you're not going to have the money to get it nowhere else. You didn't let players develop only partially in Dallas over the last couple of years. Guys that did develop pretty well, they ship out. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Guys that ain't developed all that well stick around. It's like, okay, Dallas, got it. But you think you're going to bring yourself another ball handler and that's supposed to just tear the world up in this climate? With teams that are being put together with 7-footers up and down a lineup like Denver and Orlando? I mean, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Luka Doncic is a hell of a player. Kyrie Irving, hell of a player. Definitely going to make some shots. But you have glaring holes. You can't afford to pay nobody $50, $60 million at the point guard spot and you ain't got no adequate rim protection. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell are they doing? So for me, it's just like, before Dallas does this, it's a bad fit. It was a bad fit when they made the trade. It's a bad fit now that they want to double down on it. It's a bad fit. And I don't know that Mark Cuban isn't just going along with the process because of what it can do for seats and filling up, making sure that people are in the uniform, in the turnstiles and all of that other stuff for the team, showing up as fans. But for me, it's like fans are gonna be showing up to watch my team lose. They're gonna get a whiff of that. As soon as halfway through the season, they're gonna be booing the team. It's just like, nah, man, do not sign up for that. But at the same time, it's like Kyrie needs to sign up for that because this is the team that's going to pay him his money. So it's like, this is one of them situations where it's just like, I don't know how it's going to play out. But if I'm a Dallas fan, I need more other stuff, man. I need more other stuff. Kyrie Irving is a very flashy piece, but he's only necessary if other stuff is in place that we don't have. Now, if you're going to be moving on from Luka Doncic, it makes sense to keep Kyrie Irving based on the fact that he's star power. You could trade Luka Doncic for an entire team, but nobody's doing that. You know what I mean? That's not what Dallas is going to do. So for me, it's just like, I know Dallas had a hard time getting free agents over the years, and I know they got a very unique situation because Kyrie Irving is a blackballed player that wants to go to a place that the NBA wants to keep him from, more or less. So this allows you to lock into having this player with a certain level of leverage, with a talent like this that you couldn't even get. So I think he's playing that game, but that's a bad game to play when you got Luka Doncic in the balance and he ain't happy with the fit. And so I just know they're playing a dangerous game. It's going to backfire on them. I know the situation ain't for Kyrie's benefit, as we've talked about many times. It definitely ain't for his benefit. And so it's like, this going to backfire on the Dallas fans. They're going to be the ones to take the worst of it, because they're not going to win. And Mark Cuban's going to make a lot of money off of this, whether they win or not. So for me, it's just like, this is crap. This is garbage. And I just think that the fan base deserves, and Luka Doncic deserves, an entirely different vision for their team. Entirely different vision. And so that's what I think of the Dallas Mavericks. They're heading in the wrong direction very, very fast, unless they have a very, very good draft. And if I were them, since we've been talking about Grady Dick, I would not draft Grady Dick if I were them, because I need rim protection. I need probably somebody who can play some defense. I need Jarris Walker. I need Derek Lively. I need, Taylor Hendricks. Don't need to put a shooter next to more shooters and then still have defensive issues that I still got. I get that Grady can create a lot of space for them shooting the ball. That was a problem too. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard the argument that if Grady's available, he's definitely somebody they should consider. I don't think that's the move. They need, like I said, defensive rim protection. So I don't know. I'm not saying they need to blow it up. They certainly have some pieces I like. But the fact that they didn't get nothing out of Christian Wood devalues their entire asset class completely. They can't trade him for what it is he would otherwise be worth, and they don't have a whole lot. So it's like, okay, let's double down on Kyrie Irving, a player that we likely going to have to pay a lot of money to, and then from there, it's not going to be the most desirable contract to take from us. It's just like, yeah, all right, that's one move. So yeah, it just looks like, just from where I'm looking, it doesn't look good for Dallas. It looks like they are headed into a situation that's going to be bad on purpose, and that's pretty much what I see there. Almost like as if the Clippers were to bring back what they got and try to run it again. Only at least with the Clippers, it fits better if it's healthy. It's just never ever healthy. And this is what it is, And some people can say the same thing about my Lakers. As I sit here and I have this conversation, you can say the same thing about our team, but the thing about us is we got to the Western Conference Finals, so we can justify trying it again. But with LeBron James' health being as it is, I think it's one of those situations where both parties are happy that they want one another, because obviously if LeBron leaves the Lakers, he's taking $1 billion with him, and if the Lakers decide they don't want LeBron no more, the reality is his value is not where it used to be, and he's not being seen the same way he used to be. He just got swept out of playoffs. It's becoming a situation where he's being looked at kind of like Kevin Durant is being looked at, as a guy that you ain't got to worry about no more. So it's just what it is, man. If I'm to assess that with cold blood, I'm like, all right, well, if LeBron James is entering that space, wouldn't it make sense for me to trade him and get some value for him before it goes the other way completely? And so it's like, as a Laker fan, I say no. As somebody from the outside looking in, I'm saying yes. I'm telling you yes. I'm telling you yes. I'm telling the Portland Trail Blazers yes. I'm telling the Clippers yes. I'm telling you, man, for the Lakers, it's a different situation, because I've been following the team my whole life. And, you know what I mean? We're in a space where we've gotten a championship. And we know that we don't have to worry about blowing this up, because LeBron's going to leave in about 2 minutes. So we got about one more year of this any damn way. So that's why you're not in a rush to blow it up, because you literally have 1 year left of this maybe. And after that, it's about whatever you got around them being able to succeed past him, be his successors, and whether or not you want to keep Anthony Davis in that process. So for me, it's like, all right, we got 1 more year of this. It seems to me the Lakers have a plan to not retain value for LeBron James. In other words, not trade him from the beginning. They had that in mind when we first brought him here. So I don't think they're going to see it as a loss if for some reason they're not able to trade him. I don't think they ever planned to trade him. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm not leaving value on the board in current day when I consider what I can get for him versus what I think I may be able to get for him if I come to a point where I wish I did trade him and can't. You feel me? So it's like the Laker, fan in me is like, nah, we can wait it out because we really do have a team. And what if we strike it rich with the 17th pick? What if Max Christie comes back stronger? And all of this stuff makes me want to go forward with the unit I have. But everything in my basketball mind says, bro, you better get something for Bron, just like Portland better get something for Dame, just like New Orleans better get something for CJ. You better get something for these dudes. And so that's what my basketball mind tells me. That's what my NBA GM hat is thinking. It's like, yo, I don't care nothing about these guys' tenure in any way. I care about my future. You dig? And so that's the way it probably should be played by a cutthroat GM who's going to turn his team into a dynasty. We ain't doing nothing with no old men. We're not doing anything but making sure that everything we have can parlay us into a position of flexibility within the madness of this collective bargaining circumstance that was likely just thrown together to keep us from having a lockout. If you don't have the pieces in place that you want, you're going to suck for several years while you're waiting out this process. And you're going to be watching different teams that don't have that problem pass you up. So that's what I see there. On one side, you want to make sure you love what you have. And if you have a player that's of the cachet of a top 10 player, then chances are that's probably your best bet. If you don't have that, you're probably looking for that. But at the same time, in looking for that, you're going to probably find something you don't want. And your best bet probably really is to just develop talent and try to, make as many educated guesses as you can about high-level picks as they come your way. Hope for the best is basically what I'm trying to say. Because if you don't get some luck with some of these guys or they start having injury issues with some of these dudes, with these rookies, and they don't pan out, then you obviously know how that goes. But I just think it's a much more dangerous risk taking on $38 million worth of 38-year-old superstar. I just think that's a much greater risk. And the data's telling us that them dudes ain't getting to the end. They just not there. I don't give a damn how much cachet past nothing. Who's there right now? Jimmy and Jokic. That's who's there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else that we put on his pedestal, at the end of the day, I know this truth. Those teams didn't utilize their full teams, and as a result, those dudes played too much basketball. Not just this season, every season. That's the truth. That's why I'm more so on give me the youngsters. Give me Grady, give me Jarris, give me Wembanyama. Why? Because they did not get run down by the last 7 years of NBA. Because the NBA just ran down everybody. Everybody they had in uniform for the last 8 years been getting run into the ground. Because they don't have backups. Up and down this league, they only use 8 roster players. Of course, you're overusing everybody in an 82-game schedule. And so it's like, that's why I'm cool on the 16-year pro. That's why. Because he's been run down his whole damn career. Ain't his fault, but it's true. And when you're trying to get these guys to the end, what do we always end up seeing? Them run out of gas. Every last one of these super duper stars, they get tired. They look like trash at the end. I'm tired of seeing it. I know better. I know why they look that way. I know why the Spurs didn't look that way. Because they were deep. You understand what I'm saying? That's why Timmy never ran out of gas. Because he always had backups. They always had backups on backups at a high level. And they blew teams out every night and used the garbage time to keep themselves fresh. The minutes mentality and all these different things that the NBA engages in, salute the Kobe minute, keeps you from finding yourself in a situation where you have fresh players at the end. Guys who can actually go the distance with these big names that you want to put in commercials every damn day. You're leaving these guys tired, and the ones that ain't tired, you put in Dallas situations where their running mate does the same damn thing they do and they don't have anything else. Stop selling the people bull crap and paying the media to lie to us about whether or not two men can win a damn championship together. by themselves. Of course, Phoenix couldn't get past the second round. Of course, Brooklyn was going to run it to the ground. Of course, the Clippers weren't doing a damn thing. All of these things were foreseeable from the jump based on how these teams were constructed. So never let the media lie to you again about these teams that are not being built correctly. And the Denver Nuggets are not much different. The only reason the Denver Nuggets are where they are is because they've been blessed with health this year. And if you notice, you ain't seen them too many times. It's because they always hurt. So the 8-man thing, it doesn't work. It's working now, but this is an anomaly. And if you try running that model out there too many times, you're going to come up short. You better have some depth. That's what I've come to terms with. And the only way you're going to have that depth is if you invest in player development, just like I've been telling y'all for 2-3 years now. Player development is your currency. That's what the NBA is trying to push you into a corner from which to understand in regards to this collective bargaining agreement situation. Throwing your money at players ain't going to get you what you need. You need to throw your money at scouts, good coaching, and good schemes. And that's going to get you this Miami Heat effect, where it don't matter who's on the damn floor, you still in a situation where you can succeed. So that's what I see there, man. You can say what you want about Miami, but they got immense depth, affordable players. You know what I mean? Because they didn't throw all their money at superstars. They threw their money at the superstars they needed to fit the team scheme that they got. And they made sure that they had player development ultimately give you what it is that you're looking at, which is a bunch of guys you never heard of doing stuff you wish your stars were doing in a time when your stars ain't around to do it. So that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. Keep developing these players. Keep investing in your G League. And by all means, don't do stupid stuff with your roster and cap space. And respect these youngsters. They can help you now. You ain't got to wait 2 or 3 years for some of these dudes. Look at Scoot Henderson. You think you got to wait 2 years to get him out there? No, you do not. You do not. These kids built different. And the ones that aren't built different, just got to wait on them. This is what it is. They're more traditional, but they'll be who they need to be. But it is what it is, man. That's how I look at the situation. I don't think it's going to take long for Wembanyama to make an all-star team. I don't think it's going to be long for Scoot. I don't think it's going to be long for guys like Jaden Ivey. They're going to be around quickly, helping winning teams. You know what I mean? And so that's what I see. That's exactly what I see. I'm looking at this draft here, and every last one of these kids have upside and the ability to contribute to a team right now. Every one of these kids is better than the worst guy in the playoff team right now. It just is. They just are, man. And so it's just like, yo, don't underestimate what these kids can do for you sooner if you're a team like Portland, if you're a team like the Lakers. If, you know, some of these youngsters, they're going to be your rotationals. Look at Austin Reeves. You know what I mean? Some of these dudes are going to be guys that you have in big moments doing big things, not some of these other dudes. They're not going to be there. They ain't going to be healthy. They're going to be tired. They're going to be injured. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm on the train of get depth and use depth. I'm tired of these 8-man rotations. No more of this nonsense. If your team is 8 deep, you're probably going to be overrunning the dudes that you're using. And I've said it 170 times, and I will say it 170 more until I start seeing the changes in the league that I think will reflect what it is that will help these teams actually be decent to good to great. So that's what I want to say, man. That's what I want to say. That's what all these highlights and doing all this homework on these young players has done for me. It's helped me understand that it's a new evolution of the game still coming in. These kids are ready. They shoot better. They're faster. Some of them even better playmakers and defenders. A guy like Cason Wallace, he's going to immediately come in and be a fantastic on-ball defender and a fantastic scorer. Immediately. He's going to make life hard on guys who are tired because he's going to be putting all kinds of energy on them. You know what I mean? It's just, I know what's coming. And if you still paying so-and-so $50 million because he scored 26 points a game 4 years ago, believe you me, 4 years from now, that contract's going to be bad. And you're going to be stuck with it while all these guys are running past you as they're continuing to develop. And the guys that are coming in from their years, the draft years that are going to be coming in, they too going to be contributors. And you're just going to be seeing over layers of length and youth and athleticism on top of what it is that your old man team is putting together. It just don't work. It don't work. Locking yourself into a guy that's 36 right now for 4 years, it don't work, Phoenix. It don't work. Not when you know what's coming. You better grab you a couple of these forwards. You better trade one of them dudes and get you some of these dudes in these draft. You're gonna look up and you're gonna be getting dunked on by Shaden Sharp. You're gonna be getting dunked on by Wembanyama. And you're gonna be still trotting out there with the same old superstars from '08. I know better. Send them dudes to Guangdong. You know what I'm saying? Let them play with the Tigers, boy. I'm telling you, you'd be better off for it. BDO 44. Thank you all for watching.